Hello, fourth graders. We have quite a few core vocabulary words for our chapter today, so let's get started. Paralysis is a noun, and that is being unable to move a part of your body or your whole body. Phlegm is a noun, and that is a mucus manufactured in the respiratory passages, especially in the lungs and the throat. So, it's kind of like a thick, slimy liquid. If you're sick, you might experience having phlegm. It makes you cough, and sometimes the yucky stuff comes out of your mouth. That's phlegm. And a phlegm is a type of mucus, which is the same thing. They are synonyms. So mucus and phlegm, that thick, slimy liquid that we produce when we're sick. We've got bulbar polio, which is a noun. And this is a specific type of polio that affects the brain. Coaxed is a verb, and that means to persuade or ask nicely. An iron lung is a noun, and it is a machine that helps polio patients breathe. Nourishment is a noun, and this is any food or other substance that's going to help the body grow, heal, and thrive. So when you eat lunch, you are having nourishment for your body. Okay, so you have two review questions before we start. So number one, a blank is a description of someone's personality. And number two, which is not a way to understand a character when you are reading. We are going to read chapter 3 today of Small Steps, The Year I Got Polio. And this chapter is titled An Oxygen Tent and a Chocolate Milkshake. After Peg is rushed to the hospital at the end of the diagnosis, she grows sicker and her paralysis continues. She's placed in an oxygen tent to help her breathe and has trouble eating and drinking until her parents take a risk and take things into their own hands. Because of my fever, it was important for me to drink lots of liquid. I tried to drink some ice water each time my parents and the nurses held the glass up for me. I was also given apple juice, grape juice, and 7-Up, but they were no easier to swallow than water. I was not offered milk, even though I drank milk at home. Because milk creates phlegm, or mucus, in the throat, patients with bulbar polio were not allowed any milk or ice cream for fear it would make them choke. One evening, a particularly patient nurse coaxed me to drink some 7-Up. She put one hand behind my head and lifted it gently to make it easier for me to swallow. Just take little sips, she said. I wanted to drink the 7-Up to please her and because I was thirsty. I sucked a mouthful through the straw, but when I tried to swallow, my throat didn't work and all the 7-Up came out my nose. As the fizzy liquid stung the inside of my nose, I sputtered and choked. The choking made it hard to get my breath, and that frightened me. If I couldn't breathe, I would be put in the iron lung. After that, I didn't want to drink. I was afraid it would come out my nose again. I was afraid of choking. Only the constant urging of my parents and the nurses got enough fluids into me. 8 days after my polio was diagnosed, my fever still stayed at 102 degrees. My breathing was shallow, the painful muscle spasms continued, and every inch of my body hurt. It was like having a bad case of the flu that never ended. My only bits of pleasure in the long hours of pain were the brief visits from my parents and looking at the little teddy bear that Art had sent. On the afternoon of the 8th day, Mother said, "We can't go on like this. You need more nourishment. You'll never get well if you don't swallow something besides water and juice. Isn't there anything that sounds good? Think hard. If you could have anything you wanted to eat or drink, what would it be?" "A chocolate milkshake," I said. "No milk," my chart stated. "No ice cream." Mother told a nurse, "Peg would like a chocolate milkshake." "We can't let her have a milkshake," the nurse replied. "I'm sorry." "She needs nourishment," Mother declared, "especially liquid. She thinks she can drink a milkshake." "She could choke on it," the nurse said. "It's absolutely against the doctor's orders." She left the room, muttering about interfering parents. "You rest for a bit," Mother told me. "We'll be back soon." She and Dad went out. They returned in less than an hour, carrying a white paper bag. The nurse followed them into my room. "I won't be responsible for this," she said as she watched Dad take a milkshake container out of the bag. Milk and ice cream are the worst things you could give her. Dad took the lid off the container while Mother unwrapped a paper straw. We know that you have to follow the rules, Dad said, but we don't. This is our daughter, and she has had nothing to eat for over a week. If a chocolate milkshake is what she wants and she thinks she can drink it, then a chocolate milkshake is what she is going to have. He handed the milkshake to Mother, who put the straw in it. What if she chokes to death? The nurse demanded. How are you going to feel if you lose her because of a milkshake? If something doesn't change soon, Dad replied, we're going to lose her anyway. At least this way, we'll know we tried everything we could. Mother thrust the milkshake under the oxygen tent and guided the straw between my lips. I sucked the cold, thick chocolate shake into my mouth, held it there for a second, and swallowed. It slipped smoothly down my throat. For the first time since I got sick, something tasted good. I took another mouthful and swallowed it. I had to work at swallowing, but the milkshake went down. The next mouthful went down too, and the one after that. I drank the whole milkshake and never choked once, even though I was lying flat on my back the whole time. When I made a loud slurping sound with my straw because the container was empty, my parents clapped and cheered. The relieved nurse cheered with them. Within an hour, my temperature dropped. That chocolate milkshake may have saved my life. Okay, so number 3, which event does not take place in this chapter? What kinds of details did the narrator use in this chapter to show character traits? And the next few questions are going to be about writing our personal narratives. So this is review from what we've been learning. Number 5, which does not describe a topic sentence? And number 6, oops, that's a mistake. I'm going to change that, guys. Which would you not include in an, that's going to be a conclusion sentence. So I'm going to go ahead and change that as soon as I X out. All right, that's all for today. Have a great day, guys.